What is up? Welcome into Dollars to Deuces, episode number 28. Talking some season-long awards, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, so on and so forth. This is a Toilet Styles production. Tonight I am joined, as always, by my pals, the Frito Bandito himself. Rich, what's good, dude?
I am good, man. Just got back this morning from Vegas. Was out there for the last 2 days, and Monday was a little cloudy situation, according to what Abe was telling me, based off of my descriptions. So it was so bad yesterday. I did not do anything at all, but just kind of relaxed and listened to. I got an award yesterday, so
I saw that. Congrats.
VP. I don't know, one of the big awards and everything. So I was excited about that. But besides that, glad to be back, except for having to go back to work tomorrow.
Now, I will say, next time Abe and I go to Vegas, you're probably going to have to meet us out there. I do have a ban, a self-imposed ban on Las Vegas, so I can't go there right now. But when the Packers go to play the Raiders, I would assume probably next year they'll probably try to make that happen.
I'm pretty sure.
Out there.
We definitely got to make it happen.
Also joined by Abe, of course, at MVINFF on Twitter. Abe, I know you like Vegas probably more than I do, which is hard to beat.
I mean, I love Vegas. I do. I love that place. Rich and I were talking about it quite a bit before he jumped on, and I just kind of told him how much I used to frequent Vegas. So, yes, I'm a big fan.
It's the best place in the world.
I think he said he used to go there like every weekend.
No, it wasn't quite every weekend, but it was a lot. It was 3 or 4 times a year for sure.
Oh, it's the best. Obviously, if you're listening to us on YouTube, you can find us there, but also Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and on Facebook. If you're listening to us on Apple, please give us a 5-star review or whatever you feel is right. Hit the like and subscribe button too, and hit the little bell on YouTube so you know when we're going live. There are multiple Toilet Titles shows going on. Sometimes there's 2 a night at least. Just depends on the night, and it'll ramp up even more when the season does start. Also, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/toiletstitles. 5 different tiers. I'm not going to go through them all, but like I said, it's all a lot of stuff going on there for you guys, and we would appreciate it. Like I said, it doesn't cost a whole lot to help support what we do. And, of course, toiletstyles.com. Guys still cranking out articles. Pretty much all the mock drafts we've been doing, too, they're getting put into article form, so you can read that if you missed any of those or if you want to join them. I believe Monday night they're going to keep doing those mock draft lavatory, I think they call it, which is a lot of fun. There's usually like 3 or 4 mock drafts going, and they break them down live. So it's pretty fun. So anyways, let's get into it. There's quite a bit of stuff we can go through here. Obviously, this all comes from DraftKings like we have been doing the last couple of weeks. We'll start off with Coach of the Year. I guess I can go through. I have like the top kind of 10 guys as far as odds go. I mean, you could go forever. Well, not really forever. There's only 32 guys, but you know what I mean? There's a ton. So obviously the top guy is Brandon Staley, plus 1,400. Nathaniel Hackett, plus 1,600. Mike McDaniel at 1,600. Dan Campbell, Brian Daboll, Sean McDermott, Nick Sirianni, Doug Peterson, and Josh McDaniels are all plus 1,800. I think Bill Belichick was plus 2,000, but I left him off the list. But last year, I think the last 2 years, everybody's been talking about Matt LaFleur. I don't think he's ever deserved it. Not saying he doesn't do a good job or a bad job, but last year your special teams was terrible, and your team's supposed to get better as the year go on, and they never really did. And that's kind of I still don't agree with that. Is there any other guys that weren't on this list that you guys liked? Did you look?
No. I'm gonna probably make mine a theme tonight, but a lot of things have to go right to make a lot of these play out right. So obviously, I'm gonna probably pick Josh McDaniels. He's in a great situation. If little insight peek underneath the tent, if Derek Carr wins MVP, you'd have to believe they had a great season, and this is all going to come back to Josh McDaniels' offense and how everything's schemed for all these players and everything. So at plus 1,800, I'll take that all day.
Yeah. What do you think, Abe?
Yeah, my 2 that I kind of wrote down were LaFleur, who's I don't think he's deserving of it.
I don't remember what his odds even were.
25-1.
Yeah.
But he was one guy that I thought, with just everyone talking about Javonte leaving and stuff like that. I think a lot of this kind of correlates with how your quarterback does also, and kind of some of the offseason things that happen. So my 2 that I wrote down were LaFleur at 25-1 and Andy Reid at 28-1. I think Andy Reid's that's a pretty good value. I mean, I'm not a huge believer in the Chiefs this year, but if they do win that division, the toughest division, without Tyreek Hill, and not, who knows what their running game is going to look like this year. If they do win that,
Pacheco, the Rutger Scarlet Knights,
people are super
backfield
on him right now. But I think both those guys, obviously you have two good quarterbacks in both of those situations, and if you win your division, get a number 1 or 2 seed, I think that at those values at 25-1 for LaFleur and 28-1 for Andy Reid, I think those are pretty good values.
I think the only other one that I would probably go on here is Mike McDaniels too at plus 1,600. Minnesota, look, they're in the NFC. I feel like
might be
that
Daniels.
team. Wait,
it's Miami.
Oh, Miami. Okay, I'm sorry. It's Hackett. That's
no,
right.
Denver.
Damn, man.
I just forgot. Kevin O'Connell is the head coach of the Vikings. I don't know what his odds even are.
He would be the one that I would probably. I didn't look at that one either. For some reason, I was thinking Mike McDaniels. For some reason, because I keep on thinking McDaniels, and I keep on thinking Vikings and the Raiders for some reason. But the coach for the Vikings is who I would probably like to take a chance on too, because that team set up pretty good to have a good shot at this year.
Yeah. I have to take Dan Campbell, man. I don't know if anybody's been watching Hard Knocks, but that guy gets me fired up. I don't know if that team's going to be worth the shit or not, but I love Dan Campbell. So I like him. I think kind of what you said too, Abe, with Matt LaFleur, like, it kind of is riding on Aaron's shoulders. And, if Aaron plays well, hell, he could probably win his 3rd MVP. And if that happens, there's a pretty good chance that LaFleur wins that. I do like Brandon Staley. I know it's only 14-1, but he's got a lot to prove after last year. I think he did not do very well as a coach last year. But that team, I'm so happy they paid Derwin James. That dude's a monster.
Yes.
He's the leader of that defense. And that team is going to be fun to watch. And we'll see what happens. Their defense has to be better than it was last year.
Yeah, well, I think with Staley, we saw last year, we talked on this show last year in the playoffs that he took a lot of chances, and those chances really didn't work out so much. But if something flips and some of those risks that he takes turn into rewards, he could very easily win Coach of the Year. He's got the players to do it, so that's definitely a pretty good pick as well.
Yeah. Like I said, not real long shot, but a fun one. So moving on, comeback player of the year. Some of these guys on here that were like the higher or the lowest odds, Daniel Jones is 8-1. Like, why is he? Just because he hasn't been that good, you get to be comeback player of the year. Derrick Henry, I get it. Even though he played at the end of the year, still he's 4-1. So whatever. James Winston, 5.5-1. McCaffrey's 750-1. I don't know, or 7.5-1. What are you gonna say? I don't even think. If he plays well, sure, but I don't know. I just have a hard time trusting him. Mike Thomas 8-1, like I said. Danny Dimes 8-1. Baker Mayfield 12-1. Mitch Trubisky 12-1, and then Dobbins and Chase Young are 14-1, and Barkley was 15-1. And I'd be honest, I think out of all those ones I said, I like Saquon Barkley the most at 15-1. I know Abe, you said it numerous times. Hasn't had any offseason surgeries. They've fixed the offensive line. They got. I just blanked on their head coach, Brian Daboll, right? Yeah, Daboll's the head coach. Yeah, he's the head coach of the Giants. I think they're going to obviously the NFC East is kind of a toss-up. Maybe not. I don't know. I think it's Dallas's division to win, but I think that it could turn into, it could be messy in a hurry. So I didn't look too far on the comeback player of the year just because some of these guys, I don't even think they're really – much of a comeback, to be honest, but I like Saquon because that is a comeback for me.
Yeah, a couple of guys. I like Saquon. I've obviously said on the show, last couple of weeks, I'm hoping he's poised for a good season. A couple of guys, I kind of went in a couple different long shots. One guy I looked at was ETN at 25-1. I thought that was a pretty good value, and then I thought my best value for comeback player of the year was Chris Godwin at 40-1. It sounds like he is
play week one.
Week one. Yeah. So, if you play week one and you're in that Brady offense and you're around Tom Brady where that's all everyone talks about, and he has a 100-catch season, he could, 41, that's great odds. So he's one that I liked in the comeback player of the year if you're gonna take a long shot.
Yeah, I saw him too. And then the thing with the ETN, I thought though, is it really a comeback when you didn't even play last year? Give him rookie of the year.
He's never stepped foot on an NFL field.
But yeah, I definitely saw both of them too, and there's quite a few guys, but I think it's probably going to be, it'll be something like they give McCaffrey the damn comeback player of the year because he probably should win the MVP, but they're going to give it to Jonathan Taylor instead or something like that. So,
So
Rich,
the
what do you
only
think?
thing about Chris Godwin, the thing I worry about that one is, and I don't know if a lot of people realize this, and it's something I've been hearing recently is, everybody's saying that he's because he wasn't put on the PUP list or anything like that, and everybody's he's going to be ready week 1 and everything. Well, the thing with training camp and everything and stuff like that, if you're on the PUP list, you can't go through walkthroughs or anything like that with the team. So what they do is they intentionally don't put him on there so they can at least go through walkthroughs and everything. So I think that kind of tricks a lot of people and everything. Now, I physically haven't really heard anybody saying that he's going to be ready for week 1. They just assume because he's not on the PUP list that there's a good chance of him. Have you guys heard that?
I thought somewhere I did read that they said there was a chance, maybe not, and maybe it's just Todd Bowles just saying that, but maybe he's with Brady. That's him and Brady are out playing catch or something right now. Not at camp
for next 2 weeks.
I don't think I have anything like confirmed that he's ready week 1. It just seems like that he's going through, whether it's walkthroughs or just he's out there on the practice field. At first it sounded like that he was going to be out 4 or 6 weeks to start the season, and everything I've heard this past week is. Everything is coming along a lot quicker than they thought and they expected. So who knows? I mean, you don't know what kind of games they play in the offseason. Who knows how coaches and teams do this stuff. But I saw it at 40-1. I thought that was a pretty good pick for a guy that can, if he does play 17 games or, 15 games even, and he gets 100 receptions, that guy's at 40-1. Those are good odds, especially when you're alongside Brady.
I like Robert Woods at plus 5,000. Now he's someone that they're truly saying that is going to be ready week 1 and everything. And in that offense with the Brown being gone, look, I know Burks is there. He's going to get, but he could truly be the number 1 receiver for out the gate and everything, and have a really good shot at being comeback player of the year. Another one I like is, which is not a high number, but I like Mariota. Talk is he's been looking real good at camp, and that. He's looking real good and everything. I mean, he has to come back and prove that he's good to go and everything. I do like him at I think it's plus 1,600. So,
one thing I like Cleo Mack's 40-1. I don't know. I mean, he was hurt last year, but I think just not being on the Chicago defense, I think might help him. Maybe
he was another one I was looking at.
I actually looked up his stats because I wasn't sure. Like, I knew that the Bears gave up like a king's ransom to get him. I mean, they did. He was great at Buffalo, in college, but like, he's not like, I don't know. Is he a game changer, or am I just being stubborn because I don't think he's the best player there is? I mean, I guess Rich, you should know.
Well, look, he was a great defensive player. But when
he had like 12.5 sacks, 10 sacks for 2 years in a row, I think. For the Raiders.
But you're going to look good like that when nobody else on the team had any else other sacks and everything. So I think that kind of boasted. No, don't get me wrong. He was a stud there with the Raiders. I mean, it was just his pressure and just everything, kind of like Max Crosby and everything, how he came out of the gate and everything. But we got a lot for him. I hate to say we didn't really take advantage of it with the first round picks that we got from him and everything. We kind of got better value out of the third round picks that we did get. So,
yeah, well, nobody's good at the draft really. It's just a dart throw. So who gives a shit?
But I was thinking Khalil Mack too at plus 4,000, just because of the fact he has Bosa on the other side of him, that back defense. I mean, they're going to give him time to get to the quarterback and everything. So he could obviously be a good comeback player.
Yeah. So, anybody else, Abe? Or are you good?
No, those are a couple of guys that I looked at also. I mean, Khalil Mack is. I mean, when you think of these in these players that win these awards, you got to think of guys that are in the headlines. I mean, you got to think of guys that are that are talked about a lot. And obviously, Khalil Mack, coming from the Raiders and the Bears giving up everything for him, and then leaving the Bears and now going out to a very good defense where he doesn't have to do as much. I mean, I don't think Khalil Mack's never, like you mentioned, I don't think his numbers have ever been eye-popping. But I just think
Roquan Smith getting 160 tackles.
No, but he just disrupts, and when he's healthy, I mean, he makes things happen that you may not see on a stat sheet, but the guy makes plays and disrupts, and I think that's important. And when you're talking of a big name stature like his, I think that sometimes you don't really need to show a lot of stats to win an award like this. I think a lot of people are rooting for him.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm not rooting against him by any means, so. I'd also like J.K. Dobbins 14-1 because I got a lot of shares of that
actually,
guy.
he was one that I had written down as well.
So if he, that'd be cool, but we'll see. Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm actually kind of excited about this one. There's a lot of guys. I think there were more defensive players that I was invested in heavily than offensive guys maybe for the draft this year. Maybe not. Maybe just one that I like more than I can remember any guy that I've liked in the draft recently. But obviously Aiden Hutchinson is 5-1. Listen to Hard Knocks, them talk about him, and not just Dan Campbell. I mean, the entire coaching staff. Those guys are like, this is it. Like, he's the real deal. Like, his motor, his just everything about him, is a guy that it's like, hey, they got this one right. And I think that they're not just saying that to say that because they're on TV. I mean, you watch him, it's like, dude, he's a beast. And even and Kayvon Thibodeau too, being 5.5-1. It was those two guys the entire time leading up to the draft. And then I obviously kind of, Thibodeau fell off, but I am excited to see how he does in New York. I'll let you guys say a little more before I talk anybody else, but Rich, you got anybody you like?
We were talking about this before we got on and everything leading up to maybe 2 weeks ago while we were talking Aiden and Thibodeau. Man, I would have liked both of them, but after seeing what Walker did what was the first preseason game?
Which Walker are you talking about? My Walker?
Our favorite.
Yeah, Trayvon. Our Walker?
Trayvon Walker.
Oh, darn it. I tried getting out of it.
That guy looks like a total beast and everything.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be a wrecking ball coming through that line and everything. And it's like I was saying, I feel like their defense is gonna be on the field more than anything. So he's gonna have a lot more opportunities and everything to have those chances to be that defensive player, defensive rookie. If I wasn't going with him, the other person I probably like is Gardner. I want to see how he does and everything. Sauce Gardner. He was the top corner coming out draft and everything, and I want to see how he does.
And I should have put Derek Stingley in there too, just because because Sauce Gardner's in there too. I don't remember what his odds are. Oh, look, hey, what do you think?
I'll pull it up.
A couple of guys that I have is Hamilton from Baltimore. He looked really good in his first preseason game. I think that's a defense that is going to be improved, a little bit healthier. So he's one guy that I like at 8-1. And then Hutch. I mean, when you talk about Hutch, like this guy is, and you talked earlier, Nate, about having a motor. Like, there's certain guys in the league that just get it. Like a Micah Parsons last year. I mean, just everywhere on the field, no matter where you put them, they're going to dominate. And I kind of think that that's going to be the case for Hutchinson. So the odds aren't the best with him, but I think that he has a motor. I think he has everything you want, and a defensive player. I think he's going to be pretty successful in this league for a long time. And then, Nate, I'm going to go to one of your favorites as a long shot, Dax Hill at 35-1.
My guy.
I once again I watched their preseason game the other night, and he, if he wouldn't have fallen kind of awkwardly, he would have had a pick in the end zone. He's a guy that can make some noise, and on a team that's a lot of people are going to be following this year, because of the run they had last year. So he's another guy, and like I said, when it comes to these type of things, it's easy to say that 7-1 or 8-1 or 5-1 is good, but I kind of went with some more long shots, because if I'm going to try something, I'm going to try to get more bang for my buck. And so 35-1, Dax Hill looks pretty impressive to me. Hell yeah.
Like I said, I've said it, I think almost every episode, that I wanted the Packers to draft him at 22 so goddamn bad. I mean, I was heartbroken. I mean, I knew they weren't taking a wide receiver. I didn't give a shit about that. But when he was sitting there waiting, I'm like, I was at your house, but I was texting my buddies. I'm like, come on. I'm like, he's right there. Just take him. Take him. And then they didn't. But of course, he is my guy. I know he's not going to get as much of a run, I don't think, because Jesse Bates is still there, but he will play, and I think he's going to play a pretty big role. I feel like Jesse Bates is gone after this year. They don't want to pay him, and with good reason. They have Dax Hill now, who can step into that role and do it all.
Yeah.
I think he has all the talent in the world. Like I said, like Agent Hutchinson, even Thibodeau, like for me, these bets, I don't, not that I feel confident on all my bets at all, but like these, these ones that are like you make them right now and you got to wait for 8 months. It's like,
yeah,
well, 5 to 1's not even fun. Like give me 35 to 1 where I put not even that much money on it, So, and I like Quay Walker at 10 to 1. I think he's going to play a lot. It's going to be him and Devondre Campbell. They're very similar players. I think Quay Walker has some pass protection stuff to learn from Campbell, but I think he will. It's just wild that those guys are that big and they can move that fast. It kind of doesn't make any sense to me.
It's sideline to sideline. Like that quickness, sideline to sideline pays off, and that's what people talk about when you fly around the field like that. And that's what kind of gets you a big name. And like you talked about earlier, the motor and Quay Walker. I don't know if he quite has the motor of Micah Parsons or Hutch or something like that.
I'm not comparing those.
I think that he's just, he's one of those guys that's on a team that's going to be popular that people will pay attention to. Hey, they took this guy instead of wide receiver in the first round. So he will have some notoriety.
Yeah. I did say too, I think Jordan Davis was like 16 to 1, I think maybe.
Speaking of one of
his teammates.
14.
Or was it 14 to 1? Like what he said the other day after he, kind of that one-on-one that everybody saw over and over again. And I said the one-on-one drills with linemen, it's so stupid. That's not real life. Nobody wins, especially when it's, basically you're just bull rushing the guy, and he has nowhere to go but back. And he was actually pretty humble about it. And I know coming into the draft, they were like, well, he doesn't play every down. Well, it's like, obviously there's something there. That dude it's just ridiculous how big he is and how quick he can move.
It's crazy.
I feel like he could just walk in there like a forklift and just pick dudes up and just walk them backwards. I think he wouldn't be too far of a long shot either, to be honest.
I was going to bring that up because that was the same question. Is he too big to win? Because I was going back and looking. The last time a defensive tackle won MVP, you guys know who that is? I mean, Defensive Rookie of the Year?
No idea.
Aaron Donald. Back in 2000.
He turned out pretty good.
Yeah. But also totally different body build too.
Yeah.
And everything. And that's when I was looking at that, because he was someone I was thinking about too. But he's a big boy, man. Yeah. He's a beast.
The thing with him though, like he's quick, but he's got his goddamn long ass arms. I mean, you can line him up wherever you want, whether it's 3, a 1, 0, whatever. I mean, he's going to take up at least 2 holes. You're not, and it's not like he's got long, weak arms. I mean, he'll stop. He can play all whatever. And I think they're gonna obviously see what he's capable of. Whether it's, I don't think they would have taken him where they did if they thought he was only going to play 2 downs. That's not realistic in the NFL anymore. So there's obviously something more. Whether it was just Georgia didn't even need him. Obviously they had Devontae Wyatt, who's another good guy. Along with, dude, that defense is stupid. I mean, how many goddamn guys got drafted in the first round? It doesn't even make sense.
One of the better defenses we've seen in a while.
Yeah. So it's going to be fun to watch. Like I said, I like Jordan Davis. It's just the sheer size and, how quick he is. I was watching, when I watched the Packers game last weekend, I just forgot the dude they took from Miami in like the 6th or 7th round. He is a large fellow. I'm not going to remember his name now that we're talking about it.
I know what you're talking about.
But, he's huge, but he's nowhere near as, anything like that. But he's just a guy, like I said, nose tackle in a 3-4 that's going to just plug holes, And like I said, Jordan Davis is not – for me, he can move. You'd probably put that guy at defensive end and he'd be fine. So, but we'll move on to the offensive rookie of the year. This one – I don't know. This one's just kind of, I feel like it's more of a dart throw than anything because everybody in camp right now, all you hear is how great everybody's doing, regardless of whether they're a rookie or not. But we'll go over a few of them here. Reece Hall, 8.5 to 1. I think that was pretty standard. I feel like, running backs, well, I say that now, besides Jamar Chase and, and Justin Jefferson, running backs usually kind of have the most success as a rookie. But, it's been a little different. But, yeah, Reece Hall, 8.5 to 1. Kenny Pickett, 10 to 1. Yeah, right. Chris Olave, Skye Moore, also 10 to 1. George Pickens, 11 to 1, which will be good. Jalen Tolbert, 12-1. Then this did catch my eye too. I was going to say something about this. So Romeo Dobbs, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, and Traylon Burks are all 14-1, which is funny because Dobbs obviously wasn't talked about in the same breath as any of the guys I've listed, and Christian Watson was. He's 16-1, which I'm not obviously dogging the guy. He's been hurt, and I think he's going to be just fine. Rodgers obviously had some not negative comments, I'd say, but the guys just need to do their job, So, AB, what do you like for offensive rookie of the year?
So Dobbs, I don't know, a couple weeks ago when the talk started happening. I don't think he was on the board. So
probably not.
So to see him all the way up to 14-1 is crazy to me. A couple of guys that I kind of looked at, Skye Moore at 10-1. He's one guy I really kind of like with a team that lost Tyreek. I think he's going to play a pretty vital role. I don't know what to think of this receiving core with Juju and MVS and McCole Hardman. I saw
McCole Hardman got taken off the field today on a car, so
groin injury or something. Yeah. I saw so that might move him up the ladder a little bit. So I like him. I like James Cook at 18-1. A team that once again is going to be showcased quite a bit. A guy that's pretty electric on the field. I think that obviously he's got his name is well known in the NFL. So I like him at 18-1. And my kind of long shot is Brian Robinson at 40-1.
Damn it, you stole him from me. You sniped me on air.
Sorry.
I've been drafting the shit out of Brian Robinson anywhere I can.
Everything I read and see is Antonio Gibson is just very slow and just
he's not the ball.
He just doesn't.
Never go wrong, ain't gonna stand for that shit. Hold on to the goddamn football.
He was a guy last year that I loved. I mean, I really, really liked. And I thought he is one of those guys that can do everything, kind of a utility player out of the backfield, 3-down back, can do everything. And just everything I have seen and read and listened to is that he's just not there. And Brian Robinson has had a heck of a camp. It is flying up that that depth chart. So at 40-1, I think those are very good odds for a guy like you said, a running back. We've seen to see that. We don't see too many wide receivers, take off. Obviously, the last 2 years that's been a different case, but I think that he's a pretty good, pretty good odds at 40-1. I think that's a good shot.
Yeah, Rich, he probably just wants. Who's your guy? Amir White.
It was Brian Robinson. He sniped him from him, man. I'll start out this. Obviously, in the past couple years, it's been quarterbacks and everything. With some of the quarterbacks coming out, that's always the first talk. But I don't know if we can really say that this year on any of the quarterbacks even having a chance at it. If I had to pick a couple, I like Tyler Algier plus 5,000. He has a good chance of really coming out of the gate. Same thing as Brian Robinson and everything. Should have plenty of opportunity if Cordell Patterson goes back to his old ways. Just don't know how that's going to work out. I know they got some other options there, but I do like him at that. Damien Pierce is another one at plus 1,800. He's gonna have. I think he's gonna get a good share of the load and everything. So he has a good shot. If I had to go down the list, obviously, I know that's probably not going to happen and everything, but I wouldn't mind putting some money down on Sam Howell, plus 7,500 and everything. If they come out of the gate and Wentz doesn't look good and everything and gets an opportunity.
Heineke gets the ball before Sam Howell?
What's that?
You don't think Heineke gets the ball first? Dude, I think I don't get Heineke's a winner.
I like Taylor Heineke. I don't know why. It's
because he's a battle hawk. That's why, dude. We're big battle hawk guys here. We're living close to St. Louis, He's a battle hawk, He might be back down there next year. You don't ever know.
Yeah.
I love Sam Howell, North Carolina. With Daz Newsome, I just forgot the other guy he was always throwing the ball to. That was when Michael Carter was there, and Javonte Williams.
Yeah.
They were doing it, and it's kind of last year fell off a little bit, but I was a big Sam Howell guy. I know Sheps didn't think he would do as well in the pros, and he might not. But who the hell knows what the fuck's going to happen?
But Heineke and Howell, they're kind of the same QB.
I love Taylor Heineke.
No, I get it, but
he's a gamer.
They both run. They'll both run and everything and stuff. Oh, yeah. if you're going to draft him, you obviously got to get him in there and play, see how he looks and everything. And I don't know, just my thoughts on it. I'm also going to go. Where's it at? Plus 6,000, Zamir White.
Of course you are.
told you a little theme's going to be going again.
Hey, Rich, I like that. I like
I
that.
do too. I don't think Josh Jacobs is that good.
I am not a fan of I can't even think of his name right now. Jacobs. I am not. Yeah. I just do not. I'm not sold on the guy. And
I think Kenyon Drake stinks.
And Kenyon Drake. I mean, he's okay catching the ball in the backfield.
The Raiders got Brandon Bolden and Amir Abdullah. Like, get those guys out of here.
So my question, while we're on this subject, is the Hall of Fame game. Why does Brandon Bolden sit and not play, but yet Josh Jacobs comes out and runs first quarter? Like this coaching staff has to think like we need to see more of this guy.
No.
Hey, I don't get it.
As a guy that knows nothing about the Raiders except that Rich loves them, Josh McDaniels knows what he's got with Brandon Bolden. He doesn't need to see him. He doesn't need.
You're right.
He knows what he's got.
But I just don't understand why Josh Jacobs is playing. Like I don't get it. I think Zamir White. I think that's a great pick. I think that's a guy that he probably could very well easily take over this job.
Yeah, that's what they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. He's gone. You know, I think Zamir White is clearly the guy that's going to take the role. I've never been a Kenyon Drake guy. I
think the word is, and I don't know how true this is, but the reason why Jacobs went and played is because he went and asked to play. He got the chip on his shoulder. He got to prove. I think from what I heard, he went to the coach and said, hey, I want to play.
He's got to prove something because I'm not sold on the guy, and not that my opinion matters, to Josh McDaniels, but I just don't think he's that great. When I watch him, I'm like, he's a good football player. I just don't think he is. I don't think he is what they need to go to the next level. And someone like Zamir White could be. I mean, you got to get younger, and I think, and not that Jacobs is old by any means, but I think I like that pick. Those are good odds.
Go ahead. Let's go on.
Oh, go ahead. I'll let you finish. You can finish.
I was going to say, everybody keeps on. I get you guys both. I don't like Josh Jacobs. Man, go back and look at his numbers, man. He's putting up some numbers every year. He finished the top 8 in the top 8 last year in running backs.
Like I said, I think he's a good football player. I just don't think he takes them to the next level.
I just think what it is look, new regime. They're moving on and stuff like that. They had if they didn't have the chance to draft him, I think we'd be talking about it differently and everything. But the fact that they did draft White, that changes the whole perspective on him and stuff. As they call him now, Zeus. So
yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like when you get a new coaching staff in there and they have guys that are already set in place that are good, but you go out and draft someone, like you want to showcase and say, hey, this is the guy we drafted, not this is the guy we walked into. And so that's why another reason why I don't, I like this. I like that play a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot. I mean, it's just, this. I feel like offensive rookie of the year is more just like I might as well just put like a bunch of names on the wall and throw darts at it because I suck at darts anyway. So like I won't. Who knows what I'll hit? But like
real quick, Abe said before this that he has a friend that just takes these long shots just out of nowhere and everything, and they hit and stuff like that. Sam Howell is my long shot.
Who?
Just for nothing.
Abe.
I mean, long shot?
Yeah. No, who's taking the long shots and hitting them?
Oh, it's a friend of J-Rob's, just some guy a friend of a friend. So, and he showed me his stuff on 4th of July weekend, and they're impressive.
I like that.
They're stuff I'd never guess.
He said James Cook. I like that one. I like Kenneth Walker, but who knows what that surgery he's going to be getting is. I'm concerned now. 16-1. Isaiah Pacheco at 30-1. I'm sold, man. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is garbage. And Ronald Jones, who hasn't done shit. Who's there? Derek Gore.
Yeah, I heard that Pacheco's been playing a little bit in the slot. Like,
hell yeah, dude. He's good. He's good at Rutgers.
Yeah.
Is Jarek McKinnon? I think he's still cheap too, right?
He's still there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still there. He's number 2
to Pacheco. So I do like him 30-1. At 200-1, Matt Ariza. I don't know if a punter can win Offensive Player of the Year, but he's in there the odds, so that'd be cool. I think he just kicked. What McAfee say yesterday? He kicked like an 83-yard bomb
Yes,
in the preseason game. That's a big punt, dude.
Yes, it was a bomb.
But no, that's just a joke. But that'd be
And
cool.
don't forget George Pickens.
Yeah, that's so early. The only thing that worries about me about Pickens is all three of those quarterbacks really aren't good. That makes me nervous. About anybody. It's like that Velus Jones that he's in here. I don't think he'll do shit anyways. But like, I drafted Darnell Mooney for the first time tonight, and I had to sit there and stare at my phone and be like, "Is this a good idea?" Like but Fields can throw the ball. He's got to throw it to somebody. It's either be Cole Kmet or Darnell Mooney. So.
Well, he didn't throw Cole Kmet under the train. He threw his receivers.
Well, that's what you get when you got shitty body language and you get 2 seconds to throw the football.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I do like I like Garrett Wilson prior to the injury with Zach Wilson. I don't know what's going to happen now. Romeo Dobbs maybe. Any of those guys at 14-1, I think you could probably sprinkle a little money on. And, it'd be worth a shot, but it's tough. Like I said, they're all receivers. You just don't know. I mean, obviously, Reece Hall is probably the safe pick, but that's not fun. Yeah. So, like you guys said, Brian Robinson, Zamir White, I think both of those are very, very good picks. And James Cook, too. So, I wouldn't be surprised if any of those guys, like I said, I think they'll all carve out a role. I think, Isaiah Spiller hopefully carves out a role at 45-1. I don't know how much run he'll get though with Eckler. He's just too good to, he's one of the guys you don't want him off the field. So, moving on to defensive player of the year. The first two guys, I was kind of surprised actually these odds. So at 7-1 is Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, 7.5 is Aaron Donald, and Micah Parsons 10-1. I thought he would be up there the exact same, with Watt and Garrett. 15-1 Nick Bosa. Chase Young 20-1, Joey Bosa 20-1, Max Crosby 28-1, and then Cleo Mack 30-1. There is a ton of guys that are all somewhat close there. Mm-hmm. I think Darius Leonard was pretty close too. I don't even know when he's going to start playing. Hey, what do you think? You like you got any good long shots for us? I got a couple I think that I really like, but we'll see.
Not really long shots. I have my 3 guys that I really highlighted was Micah Parsons at 10-1. Obviously, Nate, you know me pretty well that, I just was super impressed with this guy last year. I think that's a really good play. I like Bosa at 20-1, but he's got to stay on the field. I mean, it's an issue with both Bosas that, they are as disruptive as you can get in football. But they've just not been able to stay on the field consistently. So I like that at 20-1. And then I like Max Crosby at 28-1.
I was going to say that too. I'm sure Rich was too, but I think
I'm stealing another one of his thunders, but I'm sold on this Raiders team. The more and more I research and I watch and I this Raiders team they have a lot of weapons on both sides of the football, and I just think that Max Crosby, you saw him in the playoffs last year. And that guy blew up offensive lines, and he was getting double teamed, and he didn't have a whole lot of help around him. I think he's one guy. I mentioned in one time that I hope he doesn't do like a Chase Young 2 years ago where he was the guy, and then all of a sudden the next year he just gets double teamed and triple teamed and has a smaller year. I think he's too disruptive. I think he's too good. So at 28-1,
it's hard to just double team one guy when you got Chandler Jones on the
side. Yeah, when you got Chandler Jones across from you, of course, yeah. So I like Max Crosby a lot at 28-1.
Hell yeah, Rich.
Basically saying everything for me. Keeps on sniping and everything. I was gonna say Max Crosby too, but I think Chandler Jones is gonna take some of that from him, steal some of that from him, as long as he stays healthy all year long. So it's going to get me more evened out and stuff like that. Max Crosby's still going to be – he's going to be just this – I mean, he's like another version of freaking Khalil Mack. It just he's just so disruptive and everything. If he's not getting a lot of sacks, he's back there. He's taking some of that pressure from the other side to where Chandler Jones – so I think Chandler Jones is going to I'm not taking him, but the person that got a contract today is someone that I would definitely be talking about. You guys mentioned him earlier, Mr. Derwin James.
Yeah, 35-1. I was going to say that. I realized I scrolled down my notes a little bit, and there was a couple more guys I'd listed because Darius Leonard, Shaq Leonard, whatever the hell you want to call him. He's 30-1. And then one I like a ton, Rashawn Gary, 35-1. You call me Homer or whatever, dude. I think he's just a stud. I think he's only going to get better. Same thing. I don't think, he's not the elite of the elite, but I mean, he's definitely he's a top 10 guy in his position, I think. And I think he's got a legit shot, to be very disruptive. They've obviously added more pieces and just made the defense even better. But yeah, Derwin James, same there, 35-1. My favorite would be, and I don't think it'd happen, but if for some reason Roquan Smith gets traded and then he wins Defensive Player of the Year, that would make me so happy. He's at 40-1. That'd just be awesome. That'd just be something the Bears would do. I don't know why I think that way, but that just seems normal. I'm looking through the odds right now. I can't find the guy I wanted to write down. But that Bobby Okereke or Okereke or whatever he goes by, I feel like he's probably going to be the guy you want in Indianapolis because I don't know what Darius Leonard, if he's going to play, we have back surgery or something. I want Leonard on the field because he's so good and he's so much fun to watch. But I don't know. Back surgery is not just hey, no big deal. So
right.
Trevon Diggs is 70-1. If he can somehow try to repeat what he did last year, I don't think maybe, but that's definitely a tall order. Like I said, there's a lot of guys in here you could sprinkle a little random bits of money on, but I like Derwin James a lot. I like Rashawn Gary a lot. Both are 35-1. I'm not a Chase Young guy. I think I've said that numerous times. I think he just runs past the quarterback too much. But yeah, Max Crosby's my other one too. Those three are I'm pretty well locked in on those guys. So Max Crosby's awesome. He's just a good dude. So it'd be fun to see. Moving on, Offensive Player of the Year. I didn't write down as many this one because I figured we'd have a bunch of random long shots we liked. Obviously the favorites, and I was surprised actually by this. So JT, Jonathan Taylor's 10-1, and Deebo Samuel's also 10-1. Cooper Kupp 12-1. I don't think he replicates what he did last year. Maybe I'm just saying that, but I just don't know how he does. I mean, he had 200. Dude, he converted 81 first downs or some shit. The thing that's so wild about Cooper Kupp is you knew he was getting the goddamn football, but he still did.
He had more first down conversions than everyone except for I think it was 17 guys or something receptions on the year. That stat alone that's absurd. You're 18th, in receptions for first downs alone. And maybe it was 13 or 17. It was top 20. I know. That's insane. That's crazy.
It's I know it would happen. It's just tackle the goddamn guy at the line of scrimmage. Just put three guys there and just knock him to the ground. Who cares if you get a 15-yard penalty? It's better than him beating you for a touchdown.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't think that anyone can duplicate a season back-to-back like what he did. That's hard to do.
Yeah. Hunter Henry, 14-1. Derrick Henry, goddamn. Derrick Henry, 14-1. Josh Allen, the first quarterback and the best odds, 18-1. Devontae Adams also at 18-1. And then at 20-1, Justin Jefferson, Nick Chubb, Justin Herbert, and Patrick Mahomes. There are obviously a ton more guys if you want to keep going, but I could sit here for 2 hours and talk about which guys there is. Obviously, I have to bet on Nick Chubb at 20-1, my favorite player. And I don't know. I don't know JT. I don't think they would do that, but he's obviously a guy that could win Offensive Player of the Year and MVP. He had a damn good year last year. Same with Cooper Kupp, though. But I don't think Kupp replicates. I think JT can replicate and maybe even have a better year. Abe?
Go ahead, Abe.
I actually, Rich, I don't want to steal anything from
I knew he was going to do it.
Don't
ever put him in front of me again.
Rich, you go first. It's your turn.
I don't want to steal anything from you.
It's your turn, Rich.
Look, if he ain't going to be MVP, he's going to be Offensive Player of the Year, Mr. Carr himself and everything. So that's who I was going to say. But, man, I like Alvin Kamara maybe. He could have a good year and stuff like that.
He'll get an extra paycheck before he gets suspended, you mean?
Well, I don't think he's going to get suspended this year.
No, it'll be next year.
But as I was scrolling down this, I saw a name that I didn't even think about as far as comeback player of the year, and I might be totally off on this, but Michael Thomas has a good shot at being a comeback player of the year. I don't remember seeing what his odds.
We talked about it.
What's that?
I said his name because I think he's like 8-1 or something.
Okay.
For a comeback player of the year. I mean, he hasn't played football in 2 years. It makes me nervous. Like,
it's hard to
he
do.
Was good. So good.
It's hard to do when you take that much time off.
It is.
I hope. It'd be fun to see him play good again.
Unless you were going to steer Carr from me, the only other option I was looking at was Renfro.
Offensive player of the year, Hunter Renfro. I'd be cool with that, dude. He's on a shit ton of my fantasy rosters. The more I notice it, like he's always just there, and I'm like, yeah, dude, why not Hunter Renfro? Give me that guy. Give me that guy. Like it just keeps loading up. I even drafted Derek Carr in a league yesterday for Rich.
Nice.
We will get to Hunter Renfro at some point. It's not going to be offensive player of the year or even MVP, but I will get to Hunter Renfro. That's for sure.
All right.
But I have a couple guys that I like. I mean, especially one thing you got to think about offensive rookie of the year is most of the time MVP is a quarterback, right? Yeah. So offensive rookie of the year, they try to have the best player that's not a quarterback as the winner of this. So a couple people obviously I kept in mind was Jonathan Taylor at 10-1. I think Justin Jefferson at 20-1 is very good odds. I think that guy is poised with a coach that did what they did with Cooper Kupp last year. I think that Justin Jefferson is going to be moved all over the place, and I think he's going to be very, very difficult to stop.
He just moved, by the way. They changed since I did this. He's 15-1 now.
He was 20-1 about 2 hours ago.
Yeah,
so.
That's when I did these notes. He just moved up in front of Josh Allen.
Yeah, crazy stuff. I mean, that's crazy that he moved that much that quickly. But we're moving lines right now. That's what we're doing.
That's what it is.
But anyways, I think that Justin Jefferson, even at 15-1, is good odds. And my one that I mean, Nate, you know this, and I'm a big fan of this guy. My long shot, 50-1, is Javonte Williams.
That'd be cool.
I think this guy is a load of talent. I think he's this year's this year's JT.
Yep.
I think he's one guy that is really good out of the backfield, and to have Russ Wilson back there, and not to Melvin Gordon is Melvin Gordon. He is what he is, but I just think that Javonte is that explosive. When we saw him without Melvin Gordon last year, and that dude broke a lot of tackles. He's explosive. He's everything Jonathan Taylor was last year. So at 50-1 odds, and not that this guy is better than, I'm not saying he's better than Jonathan Taylor or a top 2-back, 3-back, 5-back. I'm not saying that, but I think at 50-1 odds for offensive rookie of the year, if the Broncos win that division for some reason, I'm not a fan of that personally, but if they do win that division, it's going to be Russ Wilson. It's going to be their wide receiver core and Sutton and maybe Judy and stuff like that. But I think that a lot of it is going to have to do with on the shoulders of Javonte Williams. I think we're going to see a lot similar season as what is what Jonathan Taylor had last year. Not that he's going to get those numbers, but I think that he could get those numbers. And at 50-1 odds, I think that's a fun play to play.
I think I saw I don't know update on my phone today, and it was Melvin Gordon. It was like the coaches want Javonte to be the guy. Like that's what they that's what Hackett wants, and I mean that's what I want. That's what I've wanted since.
Melvin Gordon needs to go away. Like
great dude.
And you need 2 running backs in football these days. That's just the way it is. I get it. I understand that stuff. That's important. You can't have a guy be your workhorse for 17 weeks and then get in the playoffs and continue to lean on him. I get it. I understand that. I think he's a good complement to Javonte, but Javonte has to be the guy. I mean, last year he was on the field for 45% of the snaps. Like, he is way more talented to be on the field more than 45% of the snaps. Like, that's just not right. And I think that's terrible coaching. And I know that Hackett has said that he's going to be the guy. So even if he's on the field for 80% of the snaps, obviously we're going to see a huge uptick in that. So I think that that's a guy that can really, really break out and have a good year. And at 50-1 odds, I mean, if his odds were, similar to Justin Jefferson at 15-1 or 20-1, I'd say, I don't know if this is a good bet, but 50-1 on a team that could win their division in a very difficult division where they're going to be showcased a lot on Sunday Night Football. I think that that's a pretty good play for those odds.
Hell yeah. I like one, too, that I keep scrolling by and I'm like, I don't know. But Aaron Jones is 40-1. If the Packers are good, he is going to have, he's a weapon. He's like an Alvin Kamara. I guess if I'm going to be biased and say I think he may be even better than Alvin Kamara sometimes, but either one of those guys, there's not very many guys. I mean, McCaffrey's one, but like that have hands. You've seen Aaron Jones make catches that like wide receivers don't make.
Corkscrew catches. I mean, crazy.
Yeah, just wild. It's like, how the hell is he, how does he even get his hands on the damn ball, let alone catch the damn thing? 40 to 1, like I said, if the Packers are good, AJ Dillon's like 100 to 1. That won't happen, unless somebody gets hurt. But I think Aaron Jones, that'd be something. Obviously, Justin Jefferson. Jamar Chase is 30 to 1. I think that's another, him and Justin Jefferson, they're just such big home run threats. And they're also, they can do everything else. But, I think I got to put a little there. So.
Eckler is another one, 5,000 plus 5,000.
Yeah, I saw him too.
If he stays healthy,
I didn't see that.
If he plays 17 games,
yes, he has a true
that offensive line is so goddamn good.
Yeah, I did not see
version
that.
of Christian McCaffrey.
That's a heck of a call, Rich. I didn't see that at all. That's a great call.
Yeah, I could definitely. I scrolled that one too, and I was like, maybe and I just, like I said, their offensive line, just that whole team, it's going to be fun. Moving on, NDP, Josh Allen, the favorite in the clubhouse. Just same as the Bills, 7 to 1. Tom Brady, it's kind of odd. That was weird to me that he was 8 to 1. Mahomes 9 to 1. Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert 10 to 1. Joey Burrow 12 to 1. Russ Wilson 14 to 1. Stafford's 15 to 1. I skipped a handful of guys because Derek Carr is 28 to 1. I had to put him in there for Rich.
Thank you.
Rich,
thank you very much. Thank you.
Besides Derek Carr for MVP, you got Devontae Adams. I didn't get his odds wrote down.
No, I don't.
Oh.
Look, it's going to be a QB. It's easy money. I'm going to say Josh Allen is who I would, but if I wasn't, it's either going to be Henry or Taylor.
I think they're both like 50 to 1 or something like that, probably.
Which one's that one?
John and Taylor. I think they're
plus 5,000.
Yeah.
I don't see a receiver ever winning it. I mean, it's always usually going to be a QB or it's going to be a running back that has a stellar season, and the only two that have that chance is Henry and Taylor, unless Javonte Williams comes out of nowhere and gets the workload like Jonathan Taylor does. That's the only thing that's going to put him in that category.
Yeah, it's just so hard anymore for somebody that's not a quarterback to win the MVP. And I mean, it's almost like they need to just make a different award, but they won't. I just had to look up and see. AP was the last guy to win it that wasn't a quarterback. And that was
I would have gone back and said Sean Alexander, but
2012. And then 2006 was LT, and 2005 was Sean Alexander. Every other one's been a quarterback, besides Marshall Faulk and then Terrell Davis, Barry Sanders, and stuff. But it's a quarterback award.
We saw two incredible seasons from a wide receiver and running back last year. I mean, Triple Crown from Cooper Kupp, and he didn't win it. Johnny Taylor last year was outstanding. He didn't win it. So it is definitely a quarterback type of an award. I mean, I'm glad I went after Rich. If I'm going to place a long shot, I like Derek Carr. I mean, 28 to 1. And Rich, you're not. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not. This is not good for you and your Raiders by me loving on the Raiders all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting any money on them yet. But I that's one team. I've said this a few times tonight. Like if a team goes and wins in that division, you're going to have some awards come out of it. And if the Raiders come in and win that division or even get second in that division and make a run, he's got to be in the talks because he's got incredible weapons around him. He throws a great ball. There's a lot of things that are very positive for him. Once again, if this was sitting at 18 to 1 or 15 to 1, I would say no, I'm not a fan of it. But at 28 to 1, I really kind of like. And as I mentioned before, like it's a quarterback award, but every once in a while, some of those writers and some of these people that vote on it are like, hey, you know what? We got to shake things up a little bit. So if you're going to take a long shot, Johnny Taylor at 50 to 1, that's not a bad bet to play. It's one of those guys that if it's going to be a non-quarterback to win it, he's definitely got to be a front runner. And when you talk about a front runner other than a quarterback at 50 to 1 odds, those are very healthy and a good place to be. So those are my two kind of long shots. I know, Nate, you're not a fan of Trey Lance, but at 40-1, once again, if the 49ers get there, and he's on a run, and they make the playoffs, that's a guy, that great odds, stuff like that. I don't see that happening, but I was just looking at some long shot odds. But
did you see that ball he threw to Danny Gray? Dude, crown the son of a bitch, dude. Give him offensive rookie of the year. Best ball ever.
Who?
Trey Lance threw to Danny Gray.
Oh,
dude.
no, I didn't see it. I know you're a fan of him. I actually, like, you and I were texting this past week, and I always thought you were the biggest Trey Lance fan in the last year. You're like, no, I'm not. I need to go back and look at this. But Slater and I talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, and we always thought you were a big Trey Lance fan. I don't know what to think of him this year. Like Coach Shep said it a couple weeks ago in one of our podcasts that these guys tend to be really good the first year before people get a book on them. So it's one of those it's one of those types of things where at 40-1 odds, I'm personally not putting anything on it. But when you're talking about long shot odds for a quarterback on a good team that could win a division, that could make a run in the playoffs, all those things have to happen for that to get there. 40-1 odds are pretty healthy for that.
Yeah, you said it though. Teams have to get a book on them before they truly find it. But you know what? They already have a book on them because all you have to do is go back to Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. They're going to play him the same way they played. I think teams are going to have him figured out from the get-go.
That Trey Lance is he's like a damn jugs machine, dude. It's like 100 mile an hour, 100 mile an hour, 100 mile an hour. Like we don't.
Well, right when you texted me that last week, Nate, he threw a really pretty deep ball down the sideline.
That was the one Danny Gray. That's what
I'm throwing. I'm like, you couldn't have texted me at the absolute worst time when that happened because about a minute later he threw that great deep ball, and it was not a jugs machine. It was a nice. It looked like Russ Wilson. Well, it didn't look that good because Russ was a great deep ball, but it was one of those things where I'm like, this is the worst time for you to text me that he's a straight jugs machine.
Yeah. Well, it's against some dude that probably won't ever touch the field again. So good for him.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully doesn't touch the field again.
Yeah, no shit. Of course, what kind of Packers fan would I be if I didn't say that Aaron Rodgers is going to win his third MVP in a row? That's obviously a tall order, but it's the same thing like I said with LaFleur earlier when a coach of the year. If Rodgers plays well, they go a long way, then it is. But I like Derek Carr 28-1. I think we all do. It's obviously Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry. Of course, Nick Chubb 100-1. Why not? But nah. And I think Herbert too at 10-1.
Yeah.
It's there's just so many guys that you don't that everybody has the high expectations for. Not that we shouldn't have high expectations for the guys. I mean, it's pretty obvious that they're studs. So, and Stafford's one I think I am kind of shying away from. And I think Joe Burrow too. Those two, I don't know. That Super Bowl hangover is a real thing, whether you want it or you didn't. Those two, especially with Stafford getting, was he like Tommy John or some shit? Like, that's not good. So we'll see what happens. It may be somebody completely random, but I doubt it. It is. So there's a couple, on DraftKings, there's a ton of player totals. You could go on for hours looking at them. It has passing yards for all the quarterbacks. It has touchdowns for the quarterbacks, rushing yards, receiving touchdowns. There's everything. So we all got a couple of them. Mine are just two teams because I don't know, they were at the top of the list because the more I scroll down, you just get lost in the damn shuffle. I mean, it's like I needed a damn notepad to write it all down. So, Rich, you want to go first with one of them? I mean, we can kind of go in whatever order. I don't really care. So
yeah, with all the Raider talk, I'm going to shy away from the ones that I did pick on the Raiders and stuff like that because I maybe from what I've heard, you guys might mention a few, so I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to go Cam Akers. This is one I'm going to go. Regular season rushing yards, over and under is 895.5 yards. Came back after last season and everything. Obviously, people think that, hey, he's going to be there this season. He still has Daryl Henderson there with him. I just don't think he's going to get to that. I think they're going to be sharing the backfield. Going to be more passing than rushing. I am taking the under on the 895 yards.
Yeah, I don't hate that. What is Kazir White? Is that who they drafted? I feel like I heard Sean McVay he was talking pretty highly of him too. You know, and obviously not that he's. I think it's got to be because you're white. I think that's who it was.
I think I think that's who it was.
You know, and not that he's going to obviously take over, but that he liked him too. You know, I can see Tutu Atwell getting carries too because he's kind of a gadget dude that can do it all. So yeah, I like that, Rich. Hey, what do you got? We'll just do one apiece. We'll just go in circles.
Yeah, I think my first one that I have is Dalton Schultz over 5.5 touchdowns.
Hell yeah, I love Dutch.
It's one guy that he had 8 last year in 2021, and you lose Amari Cooper, who had I don't know how many targets. I'm guessing over 120. Well, probably not that many. Over 100 targets, I'm saying. But when you have a guy that had 8 touchdowns, and we know that Dak likes Dalton Schultz a lot, relies on him quite a bit. I just think he had 8 last year, and to have him at 5.5 this year, I think he only grows in this offense. I think he gets more targets. I think he gets more opportunities. And for a guy that has 8 touchdowns last year and is over his 5.5 this year, with more of a profit share this year, I think that's a no-brainer in my opinion.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I think with Dutch, like, and everybody knows, like, the tight end's a lot of guys' safety blanket, and Dutch Schultz is a good one. I think he's only improved too. You know, he wasn't the best blocker in the beginning, but he has improved his game, you know, tenfold. And Jake Ferguson, who they drafted, I think is going to be a very good tight end too. So, you know, I think obviously Dutch has something to prove. Playing on the franchise tag, he wants to get paid. He should get paid, you know. So yeah, I think 5.5 is pretty easy. First one I'll do my Raider one. Derek Carr, regular season passing touchdowns over 29.5. I don't see how he throws under 35 to like 38 touchdowns, to be honest with you. 29 is not that many anymore.
28 is his average, and that's seasons where he didn't really have anybody. You got to see him going over that.
You know, I know they've improved their defense, so they don't need to like win games like 35 to 42 every week. But I still think that they are very capable of scoring. You know.
Well, I mean, look at that offense. Or that division. You're gonna have to score a lot of points.
It doesn't matter how good your defense is.
You're gonna have to score a lot of points in 6 of those games for sure. Yeah. Where those games are gonna be in their, high 20s, low 30s, maybe even 40s. You're gonna have to score, and so I did not see that. I love that bet. I love that.
When I was scrolling by that, I was like, that can't be right. Like, how is that? It's only, I think Rodgers for his touchdowns was like 31.5. And I'm like, I think about that one harder than I think about, but I think he'll go over that, I think. But like, why is Derek Carr at 29.5? I mean, obviously they know more than we do, Vegas, but like, that seems criminally low.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Rich, what's your next one?
My next one is Reece Hall regular season rushing TDs. The under is 5.5. The over and under is 5.5. I'm taking the over.
Hold on a second. I can answer this question, then you got to say it again because I'm trying to read and listen. I think Elijah Mitchell produces better in PPR leagues. I don't know. I'm not, Rich, you played 75 fantasy leagues, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I like Elijah Mitchell. Just it kind of similar backfields, kind of similar setups, and kind of similar as far as look. 49ers is going to run the ball more than what the Rams will and everything.
Better offensive line too.
And yeah, they are both injury prone, but one of them is not coming back from an injury that he had last year. And even though he did come back in the same year and everything, I just like Elijah Mitchell a lot better.
I think Daryl Henderson is more competition than whether it's that Tyron Davis-Price, Trey Sermon, Jermichael Hasty, Jeff Wilson. I'm probably missing a guy because there's like 15 of them, but I don't know. I think Elijah Mitchell is going to be pretty solid. Abe?
Yeah, I have these guys back to back in my PPR rankings. But I think I have Mitchell one spot ahead of them. It's hard for me. I'm more of a believer in Cam Akers than the two of you are. But I think that most points in PPR leagues, I think Elijah Mitchell has a little bit more opportunity to score because I think once they get down to the goal line, I think he's going to be the guy with the Rams. You don't know, if they're going to run a short slant to Cooper Kupp or and the Rams just have more options, in my opinion. Not to say that Debo is not a great option or Ayuk or any of those, or Kittle or any of those guys. They have plenty of options themselves, but I just think that it's more schemed in LA. And so I think Elijah Mitchell is just a little bit better, and he's probably one guy that I would put just a hair above Cam Akers.
All right, Rich, repeat that again. Like I said, sorry about that.
No worries, man. So Reece Hall regular season rushing TDs over and under is 5.5. I like this one. I like it as the overs. Obviously, a rookie running back. Look, the Jets did a lot in the draft last year, this year to upgrade. Yeah, I know Wilson got hurt and everything, but that even gives them more opportunity to kind of lean on Hall and Carter. And I see Hall being being the goal line back on more than anything. Now, see if the opportunity gets there for them to get down there, but I like to believe that they're going to be at the goal line at least 6 times this year, and 6 TDs is all I need from him for that. So I like the over on that.
I need to check Michael Carter's over under for rushing touchdowns. I feel like that'd be a sneaky one too. It'd probably be pretty low. So I do worry about Mekhi Becton and that offensive line. It seems like it's every year it's like yeah, and then is Mekhi Becton ever going to play? I mean I hope he does. He's awesome. But hey, next one.
So I have 5 of these all together. I don't know if we're going to go through all 5 or not. My next one
I got 2.
Yeah, DJ Moore over 4.5 touchdowns. He had I think he had 3 through the first 4 weeks last year is what I looked at. So 4.5 touchdowns. I just don't think that's enough for him. Not that he's a real touchdown freak or that's his thing, but I just think that this team scores a little bit more this year. I think that CMC, if he's healthy, opens up some more things for DJ Moore. I'm really impressed. I think DJ Moore is the guy. I think that Baker and him will gel well. So 4.5 touchdowns, in my opinion, seemed awfully low for him.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm a big DJ Moore guy. I like Rodgers. His over-under passing yards is 4,050.5. He hasn't been under 4,000 yards since he got hurt in, was that 17 or whatever it was? The quarterback makes a receiver. Obviously not 100%, but I mean that helps. And when you got a guy like that, I think that's it's almost like it's what he kind of averages a year is just 4,000 yards. So I don't think it seems like anymore that's just pretty much the standard for most quarterbacks. So I got to go over. Like I said, be a homer, whatever it is. I don't care. Rich?
Davante Adams. Season receiving yards over under 1,200.5. I am taking the under.
Whoa.
I don't think he's ever done that. Not Rich. I'm saying I don't think Davante's ever had that many yards. He's been like, I think he's only had.
I think he has 1 year. He did.
Yeah, he did. He did 2 years ago. I think he did. So
he's only had 1 or 2 years over 1,000 yards. I think in his career. I mean, Rich
and I were talking about this before we went on, and he's a guy that you can pretty much guarantee is going to miss a few games. I mean, it's not that it's just what Davante does. He missed a few games. It's not. He plays through injuries, but he just missed a couple just because he has to be right. I mean, when you make that hard of cuts and you're that precise of a route runner, if you're not 100% or even 80%, he knows when he needs to sit and when he doesn't. So I don't think he plays 17 games this year, so I like that as well.
Yeah, not to mention all the other targets that are going to be in that offense too. Yeah. So
I'd rather have him on whether it's 3rd and 5, 4th and 5, 4th and 7, 4th and 2, whatever it is. I trust his hands more than probably anybody in the NFL. So I don't give a shit about whether he's getting 1,500 yards. I mean, it's a different ball game. Abe?
My next one is Mark Andrews over 8.5 touchdowns. Had 9 last year. I mean, obviously you're losing. You're losing your number 1 wide receiver. He had 9 last year with Tyler Huntley as his quarterback. Tyler Huntley, I thought, played really well last year. Lamar Jackson is someone I didn't talk about in the MVP race earlier. I think 20-1 odds for him in the MVP is something it's worth looking at as well. So I think that Mark Andrews is going to be his guy. Once again, I talked about this with Dalton Schultz. When you have quarterbacks and they have a guy that can take a seam down the middle of the field and someone that you completely rely on down in the red zone, and we're talking touchdowns, I think that those are good bets. 8.5 touchdowns when a guy that got 9 last year, the backup quarterback, and loses your number 1 wide receiver, and your number 1 now is a second-year player. Your number 2 is a second-year player that didn't do hardly anything last year. I think he's going to rely heavily on Mark Andrews, and so I think he gets over 8.5.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Andrews plays every single down. He has to. He can run block and obviously catch the ball. He's
release when he does run block. I mean, those are things that you just don't see that often. So
yeah, he's just so damn good.
Yeah, he is.
So I like Jonathan Taylor's regular season rushing yards is 1,450 and a half. You know what? Give that goddamn guy the MVP. He's going to run for like 1,500 yards. This is either going to miss by a shit ton or he's going to hit it. So I like it. I like the over, though.
I think that's an easy one.
Yeah, he's a monster.
A.J. Brown, regular season receiving TDs. I'm taking the over 6.5. Now, 3 seasons in, he had first season 8, second season 11. He actually only had 5 last year. So
he was hurt a lot last year, wasn't
he? He was hurt. I mean, he's hurt every year and everything. He's one of those players where I draft every year and freaking I hold on for 6-7 weeks when he's hurt and not really producing. As soon as I trade him away, he starts producing and everything. I think this year though, I like the 6.5 over. Look, I know it's Jalen Hurts is going to run the ball and everything, but they got some good offensive weapons there too. That he ain't just going to be focused on all the time. Devontae Smith is a good receiver. Goddard is a good tight end and everything.
yeah.
I like his easily chances of going over 6.5. I know we had a down year last year with the only 5 touchdowns, but I see him bouncing back. And I think I projected him in because I had the Titans. I think I had him at 8-9 touchdowns this year.
I don't know if A.J. Brown's an N1 receiver, to be honest with you. I don't know if that's a weird thing to say, but I don't know if he is the guy that they're gonna roll the coverage to. I don't know if he can, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I like A.J. Brown, big fan, but I don't know. I don't trust Jalen Hurts though. But I mean, somebody's got to throw the ball, whether it's Carson Strong or not. Gardner Minshew, I don't give a shit.
I actually got him projected for 85 receptions, 1,090 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Not a huge year, but a good solid season.
Oh yeah, I can get down with that.
Yeah, I'm glad he plays on the East Coast for fantasy football reasons, because you just never know if he's gonna play or not. So if he played on the West Coast and was at the 3:00 games, you're sitting there struggling like, hey, I don't know if he's gonna play. Do I sub him out? Do I sub him in? With the Eagles playing on the East Coast, they play a lot of noon games. I'm glad he plays on there because he does have some injury issues, but the guy's a monster. He's a beast. On a team that has a favorable schedule, and a lot of people really like the Eagles, so that's a good play. My next one I have, we're gonna homer a little bit, and I have Allen Lazard over 56.5 receptions. He had 40 last year in 13 games. I'm going to stick with my theory on everything today. As far as these player totals go, I said Dalton Schultz no longer has Amari Cooper. I said that Mark Andrews no longer has Marquise Brown. And now Allen Lazard with no Davante Adams having 40 catches last year in 13 games. I think he gets well over 56.5. I mean, if you average it out, that's 4 receptions a game for a guy that Rodgers completely trusts. And Nate, you and I both know that Rodgers goes to his guys that he really trusts. When he needs to move the chains, when things are really kind of, when he needs them. We're seeing a guy in his 4th or 5th year. This is when we saw Davante break out. I'm not saying he's Davante Adams. I'm not saying he's going to break out, but I think 56.5 is awfully low for a guy. I think he averages 4 to 5 catches a game, which puts him around 70 for the season. So I think that 56 is awful low for someone that is a number 1 wide receiver on a very good team with a back-to-back MVP.
And a guy that's on the field again. I mean, obviously not tight end like Mark Andrews, but like he's always on the field. A hell of a blocking wide receiver. He's a big body dude. I think that's solid. So I'll be keep with the homer thing. AJ Dillon.
Real quick before you go in there. I had to do the Packers too because they wouldn't let Nate do the projections for the Packers and everything because they probably would have projected him for a lot more. But I actually have him projected for 85 targets, 65 receptions for 780 yards and 8 touchdowns. The one thing that last year, and you guys are better at this as far as Packer fans and everything I saw plays with him, they were always long plays. So it ain't like he's going to get peppered with a whole bunch of short plays and everything. He was always, I don't know what his average is, but I would like to say it's like 18 to 25 reception averages because it always seems like he was getting the long balls.
Yeah, I think he played that way when MVS wasn't on the field, and when you have Davante actually moving the chains all the time. But I think with no Davante this year, and with with Romeo Doubs who can stretch the field, stuff like that, I think he's kind of the guy that Rodgers relies on to move the chains. So I think that those points per catch are not points, yards per catch. significantly drop this year, but I just think that the opportunity for more receptions happens.
Definitely. More Packers talk. A.J. Dillon, regular season rushing touchdowns. The over-under is 5.5. I think he hits the over.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'd be willing to say I don't remember what his receiving one was too. Him and Aaron Jones both. I think those are guys you literally could draft both of them in fantasy football and probably play both of them week in, week out. I just think they're a 1-2 punch. One of the best in the league. I just 5.5 touchdowns. I can't remember what he had last year. But he's a guy, when it gets colder than shit in Lambeau, it's the third and fourth quarter. You want to just keep beating the shit out of the team you're playing. Give A.J. Dillon the football. I mean, he's a large-bodied individial. I
agree with you 100%, Nate. I mean, we saw last year at the line of scrimmage where Rodgers would check down and just and throw in a Davante in the corner. A 3-yard out or a 3-yard in, a little slant or something. I think this year that's a little different. I think Dillon gets the ball at the goal line a heck of a lot more than what we've seen. I think it's kind of changing of the guard.
Yep. Rich, what do you got for last one?
My last one, Dalvin Cook, regular season rushing yards, 1150.5. I'm taking the under on that one. I like Dalvin Cook a lot. I just think they're going to be more of an offensive passing team this year, and the dude can't stay healthy. I don't know. I'm taking the under of that, and I might be totally wrong on that because he is a stud, and I've been drafting him in a few of my leagues, and I hope he goes for like 1,800 yards. But when I sit here and look at it,
I don't.
1150. I just don't see him going over that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like I said, I just the health concerns, and they want to throw the ball to show people that they're an offensive team. Like you said, a passing team now. So I think Kevin O'Connell's dead set on getting Thielen and Jamar Chase both over 1,000 yards. Not Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. Abe.
My last one is another Raider. I told you I was going to talk about Hunter Renfrow.
Third and Renfrow base. Hey, I was at the airport today, and I was trying to find a jersey for him. The only jersey they had for him was like this specialty one. It was like $350, but they didn't have any other ones like the regular.
You traded in your award for it.
Do what's that?
You should have traded in your award for it.
And I wanted it, so I wanted a Renfrow jersey so bad today, but they didn't have one for me.
You'll have one.
His over under receptions is 77.5, and having 103 last year. My first four guys that I mentioned here were people that were leaving the team and had opportunities for more targets. This is obviously opposite of that with Javonte coming into play. But I think that one thing that when I picked this play out, I really like the fact of the Josh McDaniels, how he loves that quick inside slant or inside route for his slot receivers that we saw him do and be so successful with I'm drawing a blank now on the slot receivers that they had with Edelman and
Welker.
Wes Welker.
So I think that I think that we see him. He's probably may not get 103 receptions this year, but I think 77.5 is a little too low for a guy that got 100 plus last year on a team that's going to have to score in that division, a team that's going to have to move the chains. And when Davante is getting covered on the outside, that's going to open up things. And then you have Darren Waller, up the seam in the middle of the field. I just think that it opens up quite a bit for a guy that last year Derek Carr looked to a lot. And so I don't think he goes away from him just because Davante's there. I think 77.5 is low for a guy that had 103 last year on a team that I think is going to put up more points and have more yards this year than what they had last year.
Yeah, I mean, the coverage rolls to Davante every single time. Even, like I said, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Darren Waller or Hunter Renfrow, but the coverage rolls to Davante. He's one of the best receivers in football. So all that does is open up opportunity for Renfrow and Waller alike, and Keelan Cole. I think I've already decided Keelan Cole's the number 4 on the Raiders. I've been picking him up on the waiver in Dynasty Leagues. Rich doesn't like that. It's happening. I'm a Raiders insider, dude.
It's Matt Collins. Matt Collins.
Nah.
Going to be the number 4 receiver.
You'll see, dude. Put on the bathroom board, dude.
Yeah, we kind of have.
There we go.
We kind of have 3 Raiders fans on this show right now. I mean, it is.
I'm not a Raiders.
Well,
fan.
no. We got 1 Raider fan and we got 2 Raider closet fans.
I'm not. I mean, I'm a Davante fan, so I will.
Yeah.
I will purchase the 17 black and silver jersey.
Here's the thing about Nate.
Hey, I'm wearing my Darren McFadden jersey next week. My black and silver.
Nice.
No, this is what I've learned from last season with Nate. If I'm on the show, he's going to support me and stuff with the Raiders. But as soon as I'm not around, he'll throw the Raiders under the bus like it's nothing.
I will not treat them like they are the Miami Dolphins with Tua. Okay, I will not do that. I will not do that. I promise. I think that's the only team I repeatedly trash on here.
Yeah, you are not a Tua fan. That's for sure.
My last one. Another, like I said, these just seem like they're just easy picking these Packers ones. Aaron Jones, regular season rushing and receiving yards, 1,300.5. That just seems easy to me. And that maybe I'm way off, but I don't know if he runs for 1,000 yards, probably not, because AJ Dillon's there. But I could see him catching the ball for damn near 500 yards. To be honest with you, I don't think that's far off. 800, 800 on the ground, 500 in the air.
Hey, you almost nailed my projections. So I got Aaron Jones for 1,020 rushing, and I got receiving 515 yards.
Look at that. We're way over. See, Rich knows we're way over.
I actually have Dillon for 775 yards rushing and only 245 in receiving.
How many touchdowns there, AJ Dillon? 6.
I got 5 rushing, 3 receiving.
Damn it. That's the under, Rich.
I'm sorry.
Cancel everything we said about the Raiders. Cancel everything we said.
Yeah, they stink. Done with that team.
And we're going to rename the title Raiders and Packers of this episode.
I can't wait to see you in Vegas next year.
I mean, I can't wait till we have a Raiders-Packers Super Bowl this year. That's what I can't wait for.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's what I can't wait for. That's going to be a good time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
Book it.
First. That's the long term year.
That's your hot take. I like that. Go bet that. Go bet Raiders, Packers, Super Bowl, and then pick a score. I'd be like, I don't even know the odds on that, but you'd make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Anyways, we went a little long tonight. That's okay. Had a little fun. Thanks for listening, tuning in. Make sure you check us out on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, everywhere you can find your podcast. You will find Toes, Titles, and Dollars to Deuces. We'll be back next week. Not sure yet what we will be talking about, but football's almost here. So a couple more weeks, and it's real life. So thanks again. You guys got anything else?
No, we're close. We're getting closer. Every episode,
I'm ready for it.
Closer.
Hell yeah. Check us out on Twitter, Toes Titles, toestitles.com. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Toes Titles. Thanks again for listening, and good luck and good gambling. Take it easy.